Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's start, please. We will let other people to join us. Thank you very much for joining us with this wonderful evening. Before I will introduce our first guest, I would like to tell you how it's going to work. We're going to start our event now here in Zoom. Okay, we will meet Israel Cohen from Municipality of Jerusalem. Then we will finish our Zoom session, and we all move to our Facebook page. Every one of you who don't have Facebook page or don't have any account on Facebook, please don't be worried. I will send you later during our conversation in chat our Facebook page. You just need to copy and paste it in your browser and you will see the continuation of our event. I hope it's clear. I will explain it a bit later again. Don't be worried if you don't have his Facebook page. You can watch us even without the account. I would like to introduce our first guest, Israel Cohen from Municipality of Jerusalem. Thank you, Israel.
Shalom uvracha. What a pleasure to meet everybody here. I'm talking from Jerusalem. It's just gone 8 o'clock in the evening here in Jerusalem. And it's a pleasure to meet everybody. I look forward one day maybe to meeting you in person. But for today, Zoom is a wonderful way to meet. What I wanted to do is, I want to do 3 things. First of all, a short talk a little bit about myself, how I live in Jerusalem, talk about the modern city of Jerusalem. And then at the end, if anyone's got any questions about life in Jerusalem or any questions that come up, you're welcome to put a question in the chat. And then the last few minutes we'll utilize to answer any of your questions. So I'll begin. My name is Yisrael. As you can tell, I was born in England. I'm from London, from Golders Green. But for the last 20 years, thank God, I've been living here in Jerusalem. I hope you like the backdrop here. It's the Kotel. I'm not actually at the Kotel, but I'm nearer to the Kotel here in Jerusalem than you are there in England. I hope you're all well. So I've been living in Jerusalem for the last 20 years with my family, and I wanted to start by talking a little bit about the modern city of Jerusalem. I'm going to start by just going to share a PowerPoint. Can everybody now see the first page over here of our discussion? Welcome to Jerusalem.
Yes, we can hear it.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Okay, now how do you move to the next page here? Oh, excellent. Now, Jerusalem, it's such an honor to live in the city. The 4 quotes I wanted to start with. If you want one simple word to symbolize all of Jewish history, that word would be Jerusalem. Those are the words of Teddy Kollek, who was the mayor of Jerusalem for many, many years. One of the a very significant Jerusalem person. In fact, the stadium, the football stadium in Jerusalem is named after Teddy Kollek. It's called the Teddy Stadium. The Talmud tells us that 10 measures of beauty descended into the world, and 9 of those measures of beauty were given to Jerusalem. Rabbi Nachman of Breslov said, wherever I go, I'm going to Jerusalem. And the final quote I wanted to share was from Elie Wiesel. I don't know if any of you have ever experienced this. You are shaking, so am I. It's because of Jerusalem. One doesn't go to Jerusalem, one returns to Jerusalem. And that's one of its mysteries. That when I spend time in Jerusalem, when I come to Jerusalem, even though I may never have been there before, when I come there, I feel as if I'm coming home. The 3 pictures at the top, I imagine the middle one is familiar to you. That's the Kotel. The one on the left is actually from the Teddy Park. It's the sprinklers right by Jaffa Gate. And on the right-hand side, there's a beautiful park with a based on the old train track that used to go from Jerusalem to Tel Aviv through Jerusalem, past Emek Rephaim. Is anyone familiar with that? And that old train track about 10 years ago, was built into this beautiful park. That picture is from that park. But I wanted to read a poem with you. I wanted to start with this poem because I'm not a historian, and I'm not here to talk about the history of Jerusalem. I'm not a scholar that can talk to you about what happened on Yom Yerushalayim, the historic events of the Six-Day War in 1967. That's not what I'm here to talk about. I work today for the Jerusalem Municipality, assisting people who are thinking of moving to Jerusalem to find out what resources might be available for them. Within the Jerusalem Municipality, there is an Aliyah department, and I work for the Aliyah department of the municipality. And when we think of Jerusalem, we don't just think of the history of what happened in the past, but we think much more about the future of Jerusalem. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. And I wanted to open with this poem by Yehuda Amichai. Can everyone see the poem? Good. Once I sat on the steps by a gate at David's tower. I placed my two heavy baskets at my side. And I can't actually see what's going on here. 1 second. My side, and I was standing around the guide, and the guide was talking. You see that man, which was me, with the baskets? Just right of his head, there's an arch from the Roman period. And just right over his head, but he's moving. And I said to myself, redemption will come only if their guide tells them. You see that arch from the Roman period? It's not important, but next to it, left and down a bit, there sits a man who bought fruit and vegetables for his family. And I think that Jerusalem today, what's exciting about the city of Jerusalem, especially for you, it's not a city just of tourism, but it's a living, breathing city where people are living their lives and building up communities and finding jobs. And that aspect of Jerusalem is what I wanted to talk about today. The bottom in the pictures over here, there's a beautiful picture, that's David's tower on the left-hand side, as described by the poem. Then you have a group of tourists in the middle, and on the right-hand side, does anyone know where that is? On the right-hand side. So that's a beautiful, excellent, exactly, yes. That's Jaffa Road, really the center of town. Unfortunately, as I'm sure is the case in England at the moment, it's much quieter at the moment than it was on that picture, but slowly things are coming back to life again. I'd like to talk about the Jerusalem of Jaffa Road, the living and breathing city of Jerusalem today, and leave others to talk to you about the history of this incredible city. Okay, let me move to the next slide. Okay, so this is a map of Jerusalem. As you can see, Jerusalem has many, many neighborhoods. I don't know if any of you have ever traveled in Jerusalem. If you've ever been to Jerusalem, you can walk 3 streets and you've already walked through 3 different neighborhoods. Every couple of streets is a different neighborhood. And the truth is, what's incredible, that each neighborhood has its own feel. I live, in fact, I'm talking right now from the Katamon neighborhood, which is where I live. Just up the road from us, you move up to Rechavia, which is a 7-minute walk away, but a totally different vibe. There are 48 neighborhoods in Jerusalem. Within Jerusalem, there are 28 community centers. And within those 28 community centers, of the 28, 16 of them have Olim departments. If you have a look at this map of Jerusalem, the colored areas are the areas where they have Olim. Now, can you see my cursor? I don't know if you can. This is the central town over here. Yeah. This is the old city just over here. This is the old city. If any of you have been to Machane Yehuda, the Shuk is just over here. And the train that we saw earlier starts over here in Neve Yaakov. Oh, where's my cursor? Oh, bother. Oh, bother. Never mind. It goes all the way from Neve Yaakov and goes all the way down. Okay, we'll move on to the next one. The neighborhoods of Jerusalem. So Jerusalem is really blessed with a wide variety of different types of neighborhoods. Each one with a different sort of vibe. Can anyone figure out where any of these pictures on this neighborhoods page, anyone know where any of the pictures were taken? The top left-hand corner is from the Shuk, Machane Yehuda. I don't know if any of you have ever been to Shuk Machane Yehuda. It's an incredible, wonderful market that's active all day selling fruit and veg. And in the evenings, restaurants open there, which make it a very exciting place. On the opposite it, on the top right, is the Beggar neighborhood. At the bottom, this is just outside the concert, is just outside the old city of Jerusalem. Unfortunately, as you probably know, it's not a recent picture of that site just outside the walls of the old city. There's a street there from Beggar next to it, and then right next to that one over here. I don't know if any of you have ever been to the Liberty Bell Gardens, which is a beautiful park in Jerusalem. That's that picture over there. And the last one at the bottom is a building in Beggar. Those are a little taste of the neighborhoods. When people are interested in Jerusalem, sometimes you ask them, look at this wide variety of different aspects of the city, and ask people to choose 3 things that they like, what they would look for in the city. And then based on those, their choice, you can normally choose a different neighborhood, one of the 48 neighborhoods that exist here in Jerusalem. Okay. Excellent. Let me talk for a minute about the culture that's going on here in Jerusalem. Unfortunately, right now with Corona, it's a bit quieter than it normally is, but there are 30 annual festivals that take place in Jerusalem. I don't know if any of you have ever been in Jerusalem during the month of June. We have this amazing, the Light Festival in the Old City. There's a music festival, the Craft Festival. There's a books. Normally around, the truth is it would be this week. It's normally just around Shavuot time, where they have the Jewish, the Hebrew books, Shavuot HaSefer, where it's often in the museum, just by the shrine of the book, where they have a festival there. There are 42 museums in Jerusalem, and every local community center has its own activities, as you can see at the bottom. Jerusalem is the home of the Knesset and the home of the Supreme Courts, and there are 2 million people come to visit Jerusalem every year. I actually received I have a piece of paper here that I received today. Does anyone know how many people live in Jerusalem? Jerusalem it's the largest population in Israel.
Oh no, visitors.
There are, anyone know? Almost, I know for London standards, I'm from London and it's certainly nothing like London, but for Israel standards, it's the largest city both in landmass and also in population. There are 919,400 people, resident, almost 1 million people living in Jerusalem. Of them, about 2/3 are Jewish, and 1/3 are Christians and Muslims. Sports. Are there any sporty people here? I enjoy running. In fact, when we looked at the picture earlier of the train tracks, that's where I like going running. Jerusalem, although you wouldn't think about it, is quite a nice place for people who are into sports. The marathon was supposed to take place right after Purim this year. In fact, it was one of the very first events that got postponed. This year, they've postponed it. Hopefully, it will take place in November of this year. But if you have a look on this slide over here, if you look at the bottom picture on the right-hand side, that is the Jerusalem Marathon running down Jaffa Street that we saw a minute earlier. Oh, there's another picture on the left-hand side of people running up to the old city. That's one of the highest hills. Jerusalem is blessed with swimming pools, tennis courts, football pitches, basketball courts. These are all beautiful sites in Jerusalem that you wouldn't normally associate with Jerusalem, but it's a great place to be. They have the Arena Stadium, a big stadium takes place in Jerusalem. That's where the game is taking place on the top right-hand corner. They've got seats for, I think it's 5,000 to 6,000 people are hosted there in that particular sport facility. Okay. Now, I wanted to give you normally at this stage, I don't know how to do this as a quiz because you see all the answers over here, but did you know that there are over 6,000 species of plants in the Jerusalem Botanical Gardens? The Botanical Gardens are in Givat Mordechai, a very interesting part of Jerusalem. There are 40,000 students studying for academic degrees in Jerusalem, 8 business districts, and there are 800-year-old trees grow in the forest next to the Knesset. When any of you come to Jerusalem, it'll be my pleasure to show you some of these exciting sites. There are more synagogues per capita in Jerusalem than anywhere else in the world. I'm sure that doesn't come as a surprise to you. I don't know if people are doing this in England, but in Jerusalem and probably elsewhere in Israel as well. It's quite popular for people at the moment because many of the synagogues are closed. People are praying on the streets. So you have these little quorums of people. On a Friday evening, when you go for a walk on the streets, you hear these services going on all over Jerusalem. It's a very, very, very sweet experience. There are over 500 startup companies operating in Jerusalem. And the Mount of Olives Cemetery is the world's oldest cemetery that's still in use. Now look at this, the railway service, isn't this amazing? 23,000 people can be carried per hour in the light rail service. I don't know if any of you have been recently to Jerusalem and they've been on the light railway. They are now building two more tracks at the moment. There's one track that goes from the Yaakov in North Jerusalem, then goes through town and ends up near Har Herzl. And now they're building another one that will go from North Jerusalem down to Kilo, and there's a third one being built at the moment. There are over 40 universities and colleges in Jerusalem, and Jerusalem has the largest educational system in Israel with over 300,000 students. There are actually more kids studying in school in Jerusalem than there are residents in the city of Haifa. It's quite a big city. I want to pause now. If this works, it'll be a miracle. I want to show you a video that we made. The video that I want to show you is a video that we made right before Yom Yerushalayim. We went in our department. There are approximately 2,500 olim make Aliyah to Jerusalem every year, and we didn't speak to all 2,500 olim of this year. We spoke to a good number of.
Israel, please unmute yourself.
Yes,
Thank you.
I'm unmuted. How are you doing? Shalom, shalom. Yes, thank you for that. So we didn't ask all of them, but we asked some of them to say what they love about Jerusalem. And when they say what they love about Jerusalem, say it next to the place where they, wherever it is the place that they love in Jerusalem. Each one's talking in their language. Let me just share this little video with you. If this works, it'll be a miracle. Are you ready? Here we go.
שואלים אותי למה אני אוהבת את ירושלים? עליתי מגרמניה לפני שנה, ואני מאוד
ישראל,
שמחה
עדיין
לגור
מופיעה מצגת.
בירושלים.
בבקשה תסגור את המצגת ותחליף לסרטון. תודה.
Ah,
I can hear it but not see it.
can you see it now?
We will change it,
No.
Israel. No, Israel, please stop the sharing your screen. And now start the share screen again. Sorry for the technical.
Okay, excellent, excellent.
Thank
On the
you.
job.
Please share your screen again. Thank you very much.
Parte favorita.
Here we go.
שואלים אותי למה אני אוהבת את ירושלים?
עליתי מגרמניה לפני שנה, ואני מאוד שמחה לגור בירושלים.
Что я больше всего люблю в Израиле? Конечно, Иерусалим.
I love my neighbor, Park San Simon.
Parte favorita de Jerusalén es el barrio de Yemin Moshe, justamente.
What I love about Jerusalem is the vibe.
אני עולה מאודסה, אוקראינה. מה שאני אוהב ביותר בירושלים זה ריח אחרי שבת.
מה שאני חושב בירושלים זה שלא הבדל דת, גזע ומין, יש לכל אחד ואחת כאן מקום.
אני אוהבת את ירושלים כי רק פה אני באמת בבית.
אני אוהב את ירושלים כי זה עיר הקודש, עיר שמרכזת כל המגזרים.
זה שהעבר והעתיד בה נפגשים ביחד.
בבית.
אני אוהב ירושלים, כי זה הבית של כל יהודי, וכל יהודי זה גם אני.
Es nuestra casa, es nuestra gente.
עיר הבירה, כאן ביתנו.
אם אשכחך ירושלים, ¿cómo olvidar de Jerusalén si estás en el fondo?
Me voilà chez moi. Ce que je préfère à Jérusalem, c'est que j'y ai trouvé ma place.
Shalom לכולם. Nos gusta de Jerusalén, nos gusta la conexión directa con Akadosh Baruch.
Oh, where are you going?
J'aime Jerusalem, j'aime le hôtel, j'aime les villes, j'aime le marché.
La capitale d'Israël.
Yerushalayim, Mazal Tov.
Mazal Tov Yerushalayim.
We love you.
אנחנו אוהבים אותך.
מזל טוב ירושלים, ich liebe dich.
אני אוהבת את ירושלים.
אני אוהבת את ירושלים.
እኔ ኢየሩሳሌምን በጣም እወዳለሁ.
אני net uit Jerusalem. Ik kom uit Nederland en ik hou van Jeruzalem.
אני אוהבת ירושלים.
J'adore Jérusalem.
אני אוהבת את ירושלים.
Tutti amiamo Gerusalemme.
Jerusalem.
J'aime Yerushalayim.
I love Yerushalayim.
Я люблю ירושלים.
אני אוהב אתכם, העולים בירושלים. חג ירושלים שמח.
Excellent. Okay, 1 second. Oh, brilliant. Welcome back, everybody. Now, after finishing that, I wanted to
I'm watching a Zoom and it keeps unmuting. So all this argument is going all around the world. Forget about that. What is the point of the message that she made that's relevant to what you're doing?
Okay, I'm going to continue what I was talking about now.
Yes. But isn't she? I assumed it was the person you'd been in touch with.
What I'm going to do, I finished the present. What I'd like to do now for the last few minutes is, I wanted to answer some questions about life in Jerusalem that I've received over here. I'm going to answer those questions, and if anyone else has got questions, you're welcome to put a question in the Zoom group chat, and I'll get to your questions as well. But at the moment, I have 3 questions that I wanted to talk about now. The first question is, what do you love about Jerusalem? That's a lovely question. Thank you for asking that. It's a very difficult question to answer. It's a real privilege. It really is a privilege, I feel, to live in Jerusalem. I feel at home in Jerusalem in a way that I not sure I felt elsewhere. I don't know if you heard this story, but something happened. Can everybody mute themselves? We can hear another conversation going on.
I've got this thing to paint. And do you remember that artist?
Patricia, mute yourself.
Oh, thank you. Excellent. Thank you. Good. I don't know if any of you heard about this, but there's something very beautiful happened here in Jerusalem on Pesach. On the first night of Seder, many people were having the Seder by themselves for the first time. They may have planned to fly to visit family outside of Israel, or parents were going to go to children, or children to go to parents. And because of what's going on this year with Corona as a result of restrictions here in Israel and in England too, many people spend Seder night for the very first time by themselves. But something very special happened here in Jerusalem on Seder night. And this was announced on the news the day before Leila Seder, and everybody was asked at 8:30 in the evening to open the windows of their homes and to sing Manish Tana as loudly, well, to sing, we sang as loudly as we could in our home, to sing Manish Tana. And everybody who may have been sitting by themselves on Leila Seder opened their windows, and this is what we did, and we could hear Manish Tana coming from all different directions, all different voices and all different experiences. It was a very, very moving experience. And part of what makes living here such a meaningful experience is tiny little things like that. It wasn't a complicated thing to arrange, but it was, yeah, that's right. It wasn't just in Jerusalem. I experienced it in Jerusalem. It's true that it took place over the whole country. But one of the beautiful things that I found very, very moving was Manish Tana. A second thing that's very special in Jerusalem in particular, and that is the diverse population. If you come to Jerusalem, you'll see that when you walk down any street in Jerusalem, there's a wide variety of people, a wide variety of cultures, many different types of people somehow managing to live together in one city. I enjoy that very, very much, living here in Jerusalem. And the third thing, so I feel at home here, as represented by Manish, I like the diversity. That was the second thing. And the third thing, I'll tell you a cute story. Somebody mentioned this last week. They're a couple and they're dating. A boy and they're going out at the moment. And, you know, you're quite limited in where you can go at the moment. Most restaurants are closed. You know, museums are closed. But anywhere that you may normally go out is closed at the moment. And really the only options are to find a bench somewhere and you sit on one side of the bench and then she can sit on the other and you can chat together. And this couple, they said such a sweet thing, just in passing to me last week. They said that here in Jerusalem, any bench that you find anywhere in the city, there'll be a story in that area. There's no area of the city without a story. So if they're choosing somewhere to sit, there is no such thing as an anonymous spot in the city, a part that no one's been to or that no one knows about. There's so much rich history in every corner that wherever they choose to sit and have a day, wherever they choose to sit, it's going to be something exciting. So those are my answers about what I love about Jerusalem. I feel at home here in Jerusalem. I like the diverse population, and it's steeped in history. The city is every nook and cranny, every nook and cranny has got a story. There's a story in every part of this city. Okay, I've got another question here. As I mentioned at the beginning, I moved to Jerusalem 20 years ago. What's changed? What's changed over the last 20 years? Excellent question. Oh, excellent question. We haven't got that much time actually. So in the last 20 years, a lot of wonderful things have happened in our neighborhood. First of all, the light railway. The light railway is a big deal here in Jerusalem. That's really changed the center of town quite dramatically. I don't know if any of you have been to the old if any of you have ever been to the old train station, the old train station that the British that's you, that the British built the train station about just over 100 years ago, the original train station that went from Jerusalem to Tel Aviv. That old train station was sort of left as derelict for many, many years. And about 5 or 6 years ago, it was reopened as now this spot that people go and hang out in. In fact, I'm blessed with 3 teenage daughters, and my daughters are there right now, hanging out with some friends. There are coffee shops, and there's a nice walk that the people go on there. I like how some of the new projects, like the train station, have happened over the last 20 years. I encourage you all to visit it when you're next here. And a real game changer. I'm not even sure, how this is going to, the long-term repercussions of this. I don't know if any of you have been recently to Jerusalem, but there's now a direct train from Jerusalem to Tel Aviv in just over half an hour. So I can be standing in the central bus, it's right by the central bus station in Jerusalem, and just half an hour later, I can get to Tel Aviv. That's it's brought a younger population to Jerusalem because I can now work in the center of the country, in Tel Aviv or in Ramat Gan or somewhere in the center of the country, but then I can come back to, to live in a city like Jerusalem. I'm sure that over time, this fast-speed train from Jerusalem to Tel Aviv, which was it was only opened just over a year ago to Ben Gurion Airport. Then it was extended to 1 station in Tel Aviv, and last week it now goes into 2 stations in Tel Aviv. That's going to be a big game changer in terms of the major changes that have happened in Jerusalem in the last 20 years. That Jerusalem Tel Aviv train, I think, is a big one. Okay, I've got time for one more question. Yes, thank you. Yes, the first station, that's right. It's called the first station, Tachana Rishona. Now, the path, I'll just mention about it.
Can we speak to you after?
Pardon? Well, you can, I will send you,
ישראל, אנחנו אוטוטו מסיימים.
Okay, so let me just finish my last question. What is your job? What do you actually do? Apart from having the honor of speaking to this wonderful group of people from England, which I very much enjoyed, and I look forward one day to meeting you. What I do is my job is to assist people to learn about the city of Jerusalem, particularly people who are thinking about settling in Jerusalem one day. If people are coming with a family, to help them decide what school might be the right school for their children, that's obviously that's very important. Help people choose a community in Jerusalem. If there are 48 different neighborhoods in Jerusalem, you have to make sure you get to the right neighborhood here in Jerusalem, and really to guide people through that process is what our department is for, which is really incredible when you think about it, because we are encouraging people, people that choose to come to Jerusalem, they are welcomed with outstretched, you can't see my arms they're welcomed warmly to come to the city, and I work for the department that welcomes people to the city of Jerusalem. It's been a great, great pleasure to speak to everybody. I will put my email address now here for everybody. Maybe I'll send it through the WZO that kindly facilitated this talk. I will send my contact details, and it will be a great pleasure to continue talking to anybody here in the future. It's been a pleasure to speak to everyone. Chag Yom Yerushalayim Sameach.
Israel, thank you very much. We have a minute or two. You can put your email here in the chat. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move to the Facebook page. Again, please look on the chat and you will find our Facebook page, even if you don't have any account. The people who joined us and didn't listen to me in the beginning, my name is Dimitri Mevzos. I'm from World Zionist Organization, and we're proud, very proud to bring this event to you. We now going to disconnect our translation to the Facebook page, but anyone from you, please try to connect to our Facebook page. And if you have any problem, please write me here in Zoom. I will stay here in Zoom with you. Please open our Facebook page. Okay, I will write it down again. Let me know if you have any problem to open it. Don't be worried. If you don't have an account, you can go and open and see what's going on. We will start immediately with the greetings from the guests from Jerusalem. And then we will start our music event.
What is the Facebook page?
World Zionist Organization United Kingdom. World Zionist Organization United Kingdom.
The link is on the chat page, and if you link on it, it comes up immediately.
Oh.
World Zionist Organization. You see the link in the chat. I will write it again in the chat.
Oh, yes.
Please.
I don't know how to link
World
on.
Zionist Organization in United Kingdom. You have a link in our chat.
Okay.